Welcome to Black and Gold Breakdown on ESPN Radio 1037. For the next 60 minutes, join Jeff Brown and Kryder, the ultimate sports fan, as they break down all things Steelers related, along with discussing anything and everything happening in the world of sports. They will take your calls at 814-867-9287. Now, here's Black and Gold Breakdown on ESPN Radio 1037.
Y'all backed up Peasy. Peasy came in here and said they was a soft bunch. We proved it. We proved it. That we were the toughest football team today. It's all about us.
You be quiet this week, though, Peasy, please.
Yeah, it's all about us in this locker room. I got that. They shot me in Denver. You will not. You will not. Let's ride on three. 1, 2, 3. Let's ride.
Yeah, we're ready to ride. By golly, Brown and Kryder and Black and Gold Breakdown. Jay-Z's here. We are set to go. Hopefully you are too. Give us a call, 814-272-9625, because we want to hear from you. It's all brought to you by Blaze Alexander Family Dealerships, celebrating 40 years of service to the community. Home with $1,000 lowest price guarantee. Blaze Alexander Family Dealerships has a vehicle to fit your budget and transportation needs with 19 locations throughout Pennsylvania. We've been waiting for it. It's here. Let's ride to Latrobe.
That's when men were men and leaders were leaders. Jerome Bettis and Joey Porter. That was on their way to the Super Bowl victory. Super Bowl XL and Jerome Bettis. And, man, I still get goosebumps when I listen to those kind of speeches. I just need somebody to step up now on this team and act like that. And I'm getting a little excited because maybe Najee Harris might be that guy from some of the things I've been reading this week. I got a little excited.
Did you see the clip of him showing up for training camp?
He came in his all-road, all-terrain vehicle. And one of the best quotes he had all week was he told everybody that he is not going to be wearing a visor this year because he wants to look MFers in the eyes, he said. And he didn't say MFers. He laid it all out. So I feel like he's got a little bit of an attitude with him, you know. He said he knew he was going to be the focal point of that offense last year because Ben was, you know, in this swan song season, and he wore that crown, and he said anytime they give it to me, I'm going to take it and run. So I look for bigger things from him this year, just from his disposition, his demeanor, and hopefully with a couple better supporting pieces, he can do better.
And the guys, you know, you look at guys like that. It's easy for superstars to do what they need to do and move on from there. But when you get a superstar like Najee Harris, who is not only going to do what he needs to do, he's going to exceed that. When he tells you to exceed it, you listen, because the guy physically is a leader, talent-wise he's a leader, and now it looks like he's stepping up. So that's great. Combine him with Cam Haywood, and I like it. I like it so far.
Before we get on to some more stuff with training camp, obviously there was some somber news in Steeler world that Charles Johnson, one of their first-round draft picks, died unexpectedly at the age of 50. He was a wide receiver out of the University of Colorado. Had a few good years with the Steelers, but it's always sad to read stories of, you know, football players and people that you cheer for dying early on in, you know, what would be before they're supposed to go.
He was pretty steady. He wasn't like a superstar, but, you know.
Kind of like how you do your job here at the station.
Exactly. Every once in a while, the squirrel finds an acorn.
A blind squirrel finds an acorn.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. So speaking of other somber news, I don't know how you feel about how will the Steelers ever survive with only one Edmonds on the team now since they released Trey Edmonds. So.
Yeah. How would you feel? You're going into training camp. You haven't even done anything in training camp, and they release you. You're gone. You're done. But they replaced him with Jeremy McNichols.
I heard that Trey Edmonds was a casualty of they didn't want to wait for his injury to heal. So Trey Edmonds was injured. They didn't want to give him the time to heal on that injury and pay him, so they just went ahead and cut him. Kind of the same thing with David DeCastro. They said it would be more cost-effective.
He was no David DeCastro, so
that's
true.
I would say see you later.
It's to save a pretty penny.
I will roll the dice with Jeremy McNichols, 5th-round draft pick.
Yeah,
played,
I mean, I don't know.
Sparingly, but he had some moments with the Titans, and who knows?
What maybe they seem to want all these scat back, hybrid back kind of options in the fold now, because what would make him beneficial to the Steelers was that he was a wide receiver when he was first at Boise State, so then he converted to running back. So can he catch passes, which every time I see all this with running backs, I just see more 2-yard swing passes in our future, and I just want to vomit.
But you never know. He might turn that 2 yards into 15 yards.
Sure, I know, but that's a lot of hopes and prayers all the time. I would rather, guess what I'd rather do? I'd rather throw the ball 15 yards down the field than throw it 2 and have to elude 4 people to get 15.
I would rather they sign another running back, another professional running back, not some guy who's been bouncing around the league. I was very bummed Chris Carson. I thought maybe they had an outside shot at Chris Carson.
Well, he had to quit.
Worked on trade or whatever, and he had to retire.
Yeah, well,
So he
injuries.
was on
Come
my list of
Suck it up.
maybes. But that's not going to
Oh,
happen.
fully healthy Chris Carson would be a nice compliment.
What's a neck injury?
Yeah.
Yeah. Peyton Manning
Don't
somehow
wanna
was
mess
able
with
to
that.
make a career of it after how many surgeries, but not everybody.
Peyton Manning wasn't running full speed into defensive
That too.
alignment.
That too. He wasn't getting hit on every single play that he had the football.
But, I want to see them sign somebody like that to back up Najee.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. You got all the has-beens we
They
talked
did.
about.
Remember, they did. LeGarrette Blount,
Yeah. Yeah.
and how that worked out.
And watch him walk off the field.
So Kenny Pickett says he's focused on getting better as opposed to trying to win the starting job. I think that's a good mentality, and he's smart enough to know all the right things to say so far. And I think of everything that's going to happen this year, he's got the least amount of pressure on him of anybody else and minimal expectation. I mean, Steeler fans want him to start, but I don't think the Steelers brass is going to do that. So I think he can just do whatever, and he's going to be the golden child because he's that Pittsburgh boy. So I feel like this is a good year for Kenny Pickett because he really doesn't have any pressure. The pressure, we're going to talk a little bit later in the next segment, falls squarely on 3 other people.
Okay, can I ask something? Since I'm just going to break in here since we're bringing up Kenny Pickett. Now, we're going to training camp on Thursday.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you realize that they're only going to be wearing helmets because it's the first official day of practice. I mean, they're going to do some conditioning drills and stuff tomorrow. So that was disappointing to me because every other time I've been there for media day in the past, it was further along in the training camp cycle. So you got to actually see some hitting and tackling and some fun stuff. So
Can I ask a favor?
sure.
Don't say anything about small hands.
Oh, I'm
Or
gonna
doll
yell.
hands,
I'm
all
gonna
right?
yell doll hands. I'm
All
bringing
right,
a. I got a little inflatable.
Megaphone.
Don't
I'm
embarrass
taking some
us.
inflatable hands in my pockets. I'm gonna blow them up when I get there. I'll be like, hey, doll hands, need these?
Don't embarrass us with the doll hands. They don't get us kicked out.
You know what
right?
I hope? Yeah, I would love for them to make him as one of the players available for autographs afterwards, and I could hand him that pen and say, I don't know if this will fit your hands, but can you sign?
Or I was going to say, get an American Girl doll and have him Sharpie the.
I love it. Well, anyway, just stay away from the doll hands thing.
Yeah. So I mean, he's saying all the right things, so that's good.
They all are. And was that the theme this year? They all showed up in their college T-shirts.
I saw the Mitch rolling in with his North Carolina stuff.
All
on.
the pictures I'm seeing, everybody showed up. Claypool had the Notre Dame thing on.
I mean, it makes
Pickett had the
sense.
pin
St.
on and all that other
Vincent's.
stuff. Yeah.
They're going back to school.
Yeah.
Staying in the
It
dorm.
was very cool. There weren't a lot of outrageous outfits. Cam showed up with this Ohio State.
Speaking of Cam, he said their goal is to have the #1 defense, which I think is a great goal to have. But is it realistic when you had the 32nd ranked rushing defense last year? I mean, when you put that in perspective with the fact that they have the highest paid defense, then you would think you should have a good shot. But going from dead last in something to #1 overall, I feel like, I don't know.
I
it's
think
great
they've got a great shot
to be the #1 defense.
to be the #1.
Get out of
They will at least.
town.
You heard
There
it here
is
first.
no-
You
what-
heard
what-
it here first. I made a bold statement
Okay, what are
last
we
year,
going to
and it
bet?
came
How long is it
true.
going to take you to pay me when you lose?
And it came true. You haven't even taken it home yet.
I
for God's
did. I
sakes.
did. I took 3 of them home.
3. Ooh.
Yeah. I took it to my.
3 bottles or 3 of the.
I took 3 of the
packs?
8 packs home.
Oh, okay. Anyway, but yeah.
So what are you going to bet now?
I made a bold statement last year. It came true. None of you guys took me up on it, but it came true anyway. This is my bold statement this year. Steelers are in the top 5 in total defense at the end of this season.
All right. Are we going another case of Bud Light Aluminum? Oh, that's a long time to wait till the end of the season. The other bet you lost was pretty much over by the 4th week because there was no way Najee was going to hit that
That is a
rushing total.
3-month investment on
Yes.
your end.
I am telling you.
How about we do a crisp $100 bill this year?
Okay.
All right.
Crisp
I'll
$100.
give you 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, or 1st is a win for you. Anything
Right.
below that is a win for the Kryder.
All right. Sounds good.
$100 bill. All right.
$100 bill, and I think because, first of all, they've tightened up the run defense. Now, All right.
They fixed the defensive line.
Yes,
they added depth to the
They
defensive
didn't fix
line.
it. They made it marginally better by one aging, decrepit veteran coming back and a couple other.
Not marginally better. They are going to be much better.
No,
They're
but
gonna
Alualu was
back.
never a superstar until Steelers fans made him into a superstar.
They're
Like
going to revert back to the 2020 defense. I'm telling you, the 2019 defense. They are going to have a great run defense. Bush is going to come back strong. Miles Jack is going to be exactly what they were looking for.
You ate your Steelers Wheaties this morning,
And
didn't you?
the defensive line is not marginally better. They are much, much better. And then you've got a
You got
defensive
Obi-Wan
backfield.
Kenobi, who still has a gimpy foot with a potential Liz Frank injury trying to heal. You got the dud Jannard Avery or whatever from the Bengals. You got the Teflon Don, an outside linebacker who takes
Wait a
series
minute.
off in the fourth
Was
quarter.
he the defensive player of the year?
He was, and he
Oh,
still
okay. All right,
he still
Just
came
checking.
off the field in key situations because he needed a blow when the game was on the line.
Just checking. He was the defensive player of the
He
year.
was.
Okay, all right. Just checking that my memory.
What's his
wasn't
Madden
bad.
rating?
I have no idea.
Well, we talked about that last
It's
week. Old-timer,
incorrect.
you don't remember?
It's incorrect. How about that?
Yeah, it's not as good as that guy on the Browns.
Yeah,
Helmet swinger.
Now, Highsmith is going to be better.
Oh,
This is his
okay,
year.
better to what?
And Minka, because
Would you say he was good last year, Highsmith?
I think he was good.
Would you would put a good like
I'll
B?
give him
That would be in my grade. That would be at least a B minus.
Yeah, I'd give him a B minus.
I don't know. I'd give him a C plus. Like I feel like he. That's a tough one. Like I don't know if I would. He was serviceable on the other side. I wanted more, but I don't know if I would say he was a good player. And so, do you think he has the potential to be a great player? Because that's what they need.
I think he does. He's going to be much better this year. And then you look at the defensive backfield. Minka no longer has to play out of position and do things that he doesn't normally do.
Right.
So he's
but
going
their
to be free
number
to
one
roam.
cover cornerback is not on the team now. There's no Joe Hayden, so you fill that with
Joe Hayden's getting old. He lost
Levi
a step.
Strauss or the Amish line.
He lost a step. So
field
it's-
prop.
I'm telling you, the defense is going to be in the top 5. All right, Zach, you tell me. Is he the owner of a $100 bill, or do I need to start saving, or am I going to get
Let me
another?
rephrase that question. If you
are-
were going to be betting now, would you bet on top 5 or the field? Your $100.
Now, I see them finishing in the top 10 only because they don't have the depth past T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith. I love what they've done with the defensive line, but you have to bank that everybody stays healthy.
So where are
right.
you investing your $100 wager? Would you invest it on top 5 or the
on an
field?
either or. I like that I have 27 more chances for them to take. That's just the odds. That's
Right.
just if you say top 10, now my 100 goes to that side.
I'm telling you, top 5.
Top 5's bold, and I've heard other
Well,
Steelers
that would be
experts say that.
That would be $100 I would gladly pay to be wrong at.
Okay.
That would work
Yeah,
for
it's
me.
a
Well, then I'm
win-win.
glad that you'll be happy when you hand it over. Good.
Okay.
I won't feel
And then
guilty.
on your payment schedule, you'll get that right before the 2024 season.
I won't feel guilty when you hand it to me with a picture of your children.
Oh,
Like I
yeah. So
say,
my daughter
here.
will have to eat generic cereals
Yeah.
and stuff because of losing
Or
this
make
wager.
Rachel give it to me.
The
when
bag
she's-
cereal, the cereal
Yes.
that comes in the big bag.
Malta-O's.
That's right. She's got tears rolling down her cheeks saying, here's your $100.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if Brown is off to a great start here because Minka Fitzpatrick is on the non-football injury list. He fell off his bike on vacation and has a wrist injury. And Tyson Alualu is on the PUP list with his knee. That
Not a
is
problem.
as of 10 minutes ago.
Not a problem. I stand.
They can come back. I'm just saying that's where they're starting.
Which leads me into the next bullet point that I had was what scares me a lot is lack of quality depth at a lot of positions on this roster.
just like last year.
I agree. I do agree with you. And if the injury bug hits the defense, I've lost $100. I will say that right now too. But if you give me the team that they potentially have, I feel
They
confident.
potentially can finish top 5,
I
but
feel confident.
TJ Watt is probably the last person that they could lose. I would say even Alex Highsmith is probably the second to last, or the second person they can't
Well,
lose.
if Cam went down, I feel like that line is really done with no
Yeah.
to it now.
Yeah.
Like no other superstar ever. If Cam gets hurt, whew.
But they have more depth at the defensive line. Like there's nothing. That's the thing. Losing Alex Highsmith, I think, would have the same effect as losing a Cam Hayward for this season.
They've got to sign another quote unquote quality.
like
outside
a
linebacker.
Melvin Ingram.
They've got to do a Melvin Ingram. They've got to do somebody like that.
I think
and they
that's
gotta
who
find a running
Gennard
back.
was.
Yeah.
That's who Gennard's supposed to be.
He's like the poor man's Melvin Ingram.
An Arthur Moats, if you will. They need a bunch of Arthur Moats, and I don't think they have one.
No.
Well, while we're on this, before we go to a break, let's get into the scouting report with Sergeant Bob, because that was my scouting report. Let's talk about the backup battle that's going to be in training camp for the outside linebacker, because here's your suspects: Gennard Avery, Derek Tuska, Tuzar Skipar, Tyree Johnson, and T.D. Moultrie. So like Jay-Z said, if Highsmith or the Teflon Don get hurt, this is what you got. And God forbid, what if they both went down? Here's your starting linebackers this week against the Ravens: Tuzar Skipar and Derek Tuska.
Yeah.
Sounds like Cam Hayward's going to be standing up on the edge.
Yeah, holy smokes! Like,
Sounds
think
like
of that.
sounds like I'll be handing you over some money, but let's hope that doesn't happen.
Well, sing the platitudes for Sergeant Bob, and then we'll head to a break.
Hey, Sergeant Bob, of course, it's all brought to you by Sergeant Bob. If you need a great singer-songwriter with acoustical music for your wedding or special event, check out Sergeant Bob Timney at sergeantbob.rocks. Check out his site for veteran awareness info as well, testimonials, hero music, and upcoming dates, and more. Thanks, Sergeant Bob. All right, we are taking a break, and we've given you enough to chat with as well, so call us at 814-272-9625. It's Black and Gold Breakdown with Brown and Kryder on ESPN Radio 1037 and 1450.
Here's Black and Gold Breakdown on ESPN Radio 1037. Want to get in on the action? Call the show at 814-867-9287.
All right, if you've missed it so far, I lost $100 in the first segment, and we'll see what happens for the rest of the way. It's all brought to you by Blaze Alexander Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. That's the summer event. They went for it, and you're going to be the winner. At Blaze Alexander Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, they're doing it on everything. Truckloads and truckloads of new cars arriving daily. Reserve it with possible 0% financing. The highest trade values on a large selection of new Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram trucks. Do not miss this one. Everybody else is low on inventory, but they've got theirs. By golly, at Blaze Alexander, they're taking the deals. The other guys won't.
So before we roll out of the Steeler notes, I guess they asked Ogunjobi today at training camp arrival if there is any ill will between him and Mason, and he said that Mason had reached out when they made that trade, and that it's all in the past. So
yeah, come on, it's football. They're all going to get pee. I mean, at the end of the game, it's not like when we grew up and like you had the Dick Butkuses and Ray Nitschkes of the world, and they hated the other team, just absolutely hated the other team. I read something over the All-Star break. Bob Gibson, a great pitcher for the Cardinals, hated going to the All-Star game because he said, why should I be friends with guys I hate the rest of the year?
absolutely, amen.
I love that. So if it was back then maybe. Right now these guys they're all buddies anyway. So
Levi Wallace says he wants to be a shutdown corner and shut down his side of the field.
I'm all for it.
These players are making these bold kind of statements, and I feel like all of a sudden we're going to be eating that cake halfway through the season going, where was that shutdown corner when it looks like the freeway is wide open on their part of the field? So God bless them. Yeah, you're right.
Season, man, you gotta say something outrageous so your brand gets out there. So and Levi's in.
Lastly, do you think Boswell's going to get his extension? Because I heard that the Steelers were going to pay him, that Justin Tucker kind of money. So do you think that happens before the end of the training camp?
Yes. I think
I haven't heard any rumblings of him threatening to hold out or any whatever. So
he's not going to. And what an asset he is. I wouldn't put him in Justin Tucker's class, would you? But
I mean,
when Justin Tucker walks on the field, I just go, "Oh crap, game's over." Yeah. But I don't do that with Boswell.
Remember when Vanderjack walked onto the field for the field goal in the playoffs against the Steelers, and then they called that timeout, and he looked over and he pointed at the Steelers bench in that playoff game, and then he had the worst shank in the history of shanks. That was like it didn't even start off going forward and it shanked right. And
didn't Peyton Manning say something really nasty about him after him?
I don't know. Peyton Manning said something at one point in time, and he said the idiot kicker. So I don't remember if that was when he was with the Broncos or where it was. But yeah,
no. It was about Vanderjack, but I'm trying to remember exactly what he said. But he very un-Peyton-like came out against Vanderjack, who was still his teammate.
Right. So here's the big question: who has the most heat on them this season, and who should have the most heat on them this season? So I look at the three characters that should have heat, and if they don't, they should have more, and which one do you think is under them most? And that would be Mike Tomlin, Mitch Trubisky, and then Matt Canada. So when I look at Mike Tomlin, I say no playoff wins since 2016, 3 playoff beatdowns in their last 3 performances of giving up 40-some points or more in each one of those. That's the heat that I see for Mike Tomlin, but yet I get a sense that he's under no heat at all.
Right. Well, first of all, I would throw Trubisky out.
You don't feel like he's under any pressure to keep that starting quarterback QB1 slot right now?
Well, maybe to keep that. But
And the fact that Pittsburgh fans are going to be the first sign of that first pick or whatever, I feel like the boo birds will be out there. All want Kenny Pickett. It's like everybody now, they don't want to invest their money and get that return on investment 10 years from now. They want to see it now. So they want that shiny #1 draft pick to play as soon as possible. So I feel like he's going to be under immense pressure to not make those critical mistakes because he knows, I feel like he's going to be looking over his shoulder from the first pass of the season.
I think in terms of heat, though, well, yeah, he's going to feel heat. But you give me those 3, I think he's the least.
Well, we didn't get to Canada yet. That boy mustered up a total of 37 first-quarter points all season. Mm-hmm. They scored 175 of their 343 points in the fourth quarter after Ben would scrap the game plan and go in there and go back to playground ball. And that was the most points of any team scored in the fourth quarter all year. So I feel like since Tomlin doesn't seem to be under any heat, that Canada will be the fall guy. He has to probably have the most pressure. I mean, his offensive line coach quit last year in the middle of the season because of philosophical differences or whatever is going on, game planning or whatever. So I don't see how Matt Canada isn't in the crosshairs of every fire.
Oh, I agree. And the fact that, what you just said, the Steelers scored the most points in the NFL in the fourth quarter. And it has been said by numerous players that Ben just scrapped it and just started calling plays.
Well, yeah, 7 of those wins came in the fourth quarter on the last drive from Ben.
Right, and so to me that says Matt Canada is bullheaded and egotistical, and this is the way we're going to do this. I don't care if this worked. I don't care. Because who in their right mind would not look at the way the Steelers offense played in the fourth quarter and said, ooh, that stuff worked.
Mike Tomlin, apparently, because
he
gave not even a tacit endorsement. He gave a full-hearted endorsement in the offseason to Matt Canada. In season, he said, I had no problems with the play calling. We had no bullets left to fire. Like, he took every blow for Canada and had every opportunity to deflect some of that rightfully towards Canada. And my hopes was to make an offensive coordinator change.
Right.
But he didn't.
Well, in that list, though, I think Mitch is the least. Tomlin should be under a lot of heat, but as you said, he's not going to be.
So if we say Canada is under the most heat,
Canada's on fire
who should
already.
rightfully be under the most heat, though? Would you think it would be Tomlin or Canada?
I think the buck stops here. It's got to be the head coach. If you've got somebody who is not performing on your coaching staff, you got to get rid of them. And Canada was not doing the job last year, and you can blame it on a lot of things. Lousy offensive line. Nobody can dispute that. But when you've got a guy who can look at the fourth quarter and say, oh, this worked, but this wasn't my plan, but he still insisted on sticking to his plan and not modifying his plan, he's got to go. He's got to go. If this does not work out, the Steelers did everything he wanted. They got an offensive line. They got him, the Najee's there. They got him a quarterback who's mobile. They've got a backup quarterback who's mobile. They're giving him everything he wants. If the Steelers don't score this year, he's got to be out. So he's got the most heat. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it.
I think Tomlin should have the most heat right now just based upon their futility in the last decade with the players that they have. 3 playoff wins in 12 years and no playoff wins in the last 6 years. I feel fairly he should be under the most heat, but he's not.
He's not for whatever reason. Zach, man, who do you think?
As far as the most heat goes, I would say it's Matt Canada.
Yeah.
I would say it's Matt Canada, and then I think Terrell Austin gets a pass. It's not as important, but special teams. Do we ever think about special teams and how they just do the same thing for the past decade and don't make any plays? I mean, I guess Chris Boswell's been consistent, but I don't know how much he's in control of that. The punting, the kicking have been bad in terms of like kick coverage, kick return. So I don't know.
That's a very good point.
If Smith, I don't know.
They weren't in the 3. It was Matt Canada, Mike Tomlin.
But Bobby Smith, it's Bobby Smith.
No,
Danny Smith.
It was Bobby April was the guy before.
That's right. Danny Smith.
Danny Smith would chew 72 pieces of gum.
That's just kind of that's my write-in vote, but he's not going to get as much of a look. It's definitely Matt Canada.
All right. Sounds good. Now, question of the day. What is the definition of success for 2022?
Yeah, so I say in most Steeler fans nowadays, is it making the playoffs a definition of success or winning a playoff game? Because I say, does Santa Claus get any credit when he slides down the chimney if he forgets your presents? Heck no. Does UPS get any credit if they ring your doorbell but they forgot your package? Or, how about when you go to your first junior high dance? Now, you probably don't remember this because it was like 1937.
That's
but
true.
The guy doesn't get any credit by standing along the wall if he wants to get the date with the girl. You got to do something other than show up to the dance to win the prize. So for me, if the Steelers don't win a playoff game, they are underperforming this year.
I got to agree with you. I mean, success back in the day to me was winning 2 playoff games. But give me into the playoffs and then get 1 playoff win. That makes me happy. It doesn't make me ecstatic, but
people look at it either as a franchise perspective, what traditionally should you expect from the Steelers, or are they going to look at it and say, what are my expectations, knowing the roster, makeup, schedule, and everything going into this year? I still say the Steelers organization has fallen woefully short of the standard this past 10 years. So for me, I don't care what the makeup of the roster is right now. If you don't win a playoff game, that season is not a success for me.
You know what really ticks me off, though? And it shouldn't, because I've long been a proponent, and we are talking heads, of the talking heads, spouting off about this and spouting about that, and Pro Football Focus hates the Steelers and all that. But what really ticks me off, and I'm tired of it, is the Steelers not getting their due, and rightfully so, the last few seasons. But I want the Steelers to be mentioned as teams to be feared.
Why would you fear them in the past 5 years?
That's what I'm saying. They have richly deserved this, but I want that back. I want, you listen to anybody on ESPN or Fox or anybody, when they're looking at the season, especially they've been talking a lot about the Browns, who's going to be a quarterback and all that other stuff. And every single time they say, well, you look at the first 5 games on the Browns schedule, and they really don't have anybody. It's the blah, 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 blah Steelers.
Well, yeah, but remember last week we rattled off the teams the Steelers are now keeping company with without having a playoff win in the last 5 years.
That's my point.
They're swimming with the dregs.
That's my point. To me, that would be a measure of success, is get them back to being one of the feared teams in the NFL.
Don't you think then that in and of itself means they have to win a playoff game? Yeah. No one fears a team who doesn't win a playoff game.
I'm sick of them being clumped in with the also-rans and people saying, well, you look at the schedule and the Steelers are on there, so that's an easy one.
But again, we flushed this out last week as well. Mediocre or model of stability, and we all said mediocrity. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think the Steelers get back to where you want them to be and I want them to be until Mike Tomlin is not coaching them anymore. I really believe in that.
I agree with you completely, because and I don't know what's up with the Rooneys. I know the Rooneys look at the head coaching track record. They stick with guys for long periods of time. There were times when people wanted Chuck Noll fired. There were times when people wanted Bill Cowher fired. They were concerned that they weren't the right coaches for the team. They just seem to stick with Mike Tomlin too, and maybe this isn't a good time to do that.
I still will never forget that Mike Tomlin got beat by a head coach who wasn't even in the stadium in the playoffs. It isn't like baseball where you get the manager thrown out and then he goes down underneath the tunnel or whatever, and someone else. This guy was not even there because he had COVID, and they still smoked the Steelers in the playoffs.
I agree. We're going to talk more on Black and Gold Breakdown. It's Brown and Kryder on ESPN Radio 103.7 and 1450.
Now, back to Black and Gold Breakdown on ESPN Radio 103.7.
Here we are, and it's all brought to you by Blaze Alexander Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and State College. The summer event is going on. They have truckloads and truckloads of new cars arriving daily. Reserve it today with possible 0% financing, the highest trade values, and a large selection of new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram trucks. While everybody else is low on inventory, they've got it. They've got it coming, and they'll put your name on it because Blaze Alexander takes the deals the other guys won't.
Two things before we get to the next question. One is we want to let people know that 2 weeks from today is when we will be back simulcasting on both our classic rock station, The Bus, and ESPN, which is exciting because that week will be their first preseason opener. That Saturday night, the 13th, they open up at home against the Seahawks. So that Tuesday, August 9th, we'll be simulcasting again. And then secondly, I wanted people to know that we had a great Steelers fan club last year. We had a great experience with lots of great prizes all season long. But the venue is up for negotiation this year. So if you are a business owner out there that would love to have 50 people each week show up and drinking beer and having fun, screaming and yelling for the Steelers, give us a call here and talk to me because I am not going to let this fan club die, and we're going to have a second year, and it's going to continue to grow. So if you want to throw your hat into the ring and want me to come out and kind of give you the lay of the land and explain to you how it could work, give me a call.
And if you've got an idea, maybe there's a place that you think it would be perfect for Steelers Sundays, and maybe we're not thinking about it. Let us know about that as well. And you know what? Even like charitable organizations, if they had the right situation and the right setup,
like the Brown Mansion, we can all come over to your mansion. That can easily hold 50 guests.
We'll go to the
you bring
crack
out your
house.
war
Yes,
chest
it'd
of
be great.
distilled beverages and alcohol, and
I like
you can cook and man the grill. I'll do the swearing and the screaming at the TV, and we'll be good to
seriously, you think that a charitable organization could work this out with a local venue, and they could
back
make some
home
money
in
out of it.
Harrisburg, where I'm from, the Enola BFW for years was home of the Steelers fan club, and it was great because those beer prices were like $1.12 for a 16 ounce, and the food was great. It wasn't really spiffy inside to look at, but no one really cares as long as there was a big screen TV and the Steelers broadcast was, and the volume was up. It was good to go. So absolutely.
Yep. You think about it, let us know because we're going to have a big Steeler party every week somewhere, and we want it to be some very fun.
So speaking of questions, here's two sets of stats for you. Last year, 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and 3,787 yards. That's stat set 1. Stat 2, 22 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 3,740 yards. Who are those two quarterbacks, Mr. Brown?
Just about the same quarterback.
Yes. Who?
I know the one is Ben.
The one is Big Ben.
Yep.
22 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and 3,740 yards is Ben. You know who the other one is?
Aaron Rodgers.
No.
Who?
Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray. So one quarterback with almost the identical stats gets gifted with a $230 million contract, and the other quarterback gets sent to the glue factory.
Yeah.
Think about it. Like, Ben got vilified by everybody about how, his skill set just eroded completely, and he was a complete detriment to that team. But yet, his stats are almost identical to a guy you handed $230 million to.
Well, and you got to add, in that contract...
Yeah, you got to do a little reading now. You got to do a little 4 hours of studying per game.
Now, think about this for a second. Since football began, that's just part of it. You're playing quarterback.
Well, that shows you the lack of preparation and work ethic in a lot of the younger athletes. They don't put in the legwork to be successful.
It boggles my mind that they had to put that in the contract.
If the Cardinals had to put that in a rider, it's an issue.
Wow.
But again, taking that off the table, how do you reconcile that?
You don't. You don't. It's just it's unbelievable. It's part of the whole runaway thing with sports. Is you got two quarterbacks, basically identical statistics. One of them is, an up and comer, and he's great, and he could lead his team to victory.
Did you see him in that playoff game last year?
He
blew it for them.
Yeah.
He threw a horrible interception. So if I'm spending money, I think he's a tremendous athlete, but I don't make him the face of my franchise at the way he's played quarterback. I don't think that's money well spent there.
And I don't want to beat the dead horse because, believe me, it's dead and being picked on. But you got Kyler Murray, who is making an unbelievable amount of money and has to promise in writing that he's going to do his job. And you've got Deshaun Watson, who has done all the things he has done and is making this unbelievable guaranteed money. Both of them are faces of their franchises. Both of them. Had they done things that, at least Deshaun Watson maybe were done in the past, and the 24/7
Well, maybe
news
Kyler
cycle
Murray can
wasn't
get
there.
massages while he's doing his 4 hours of studying.
But
That will
what-
be his impetus to study.
Where have we? I mean, this is getting rewarded for bad behavior, and again, I'm sounding like an old fart, but that's not the way it used to
Kyler
be.
Murray, I'm pissed that got leaked.
Oh yeah,
Because that just makes him look dumb and lazy.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying, if I was willing to sign that into my contract with the Cardinals, that's got to stay between us. Whoever got a hold of that and leaked that is purely just to stoke this fire that we're talking about right now. And I'd be so upset if I was Kyler Murray.
And the Yahoos on ESPN in the morning were talking about, well, maybe, with all this technological knowledge, the Cardinals can find a way to take the playbook and put it into Madden, because Kyler Murray allegedly is addicted to Madden, and he plays it all the time. So they're saying, if you could put the playbook into Madden, then he could do what he wants to do. BS! You're getting paid over $200 million. Shut up and do it. Don't make, I got to put it in a video game. Oh, come on. It's your job. Just do it. Put the game away for a little bit. Work.
But I guess the other side of the coin is, if you take the dollars off the table, would we rather have Ben Roethlisberger last year or Kyler Murray last year?
Well, he was younger. He was more mobile. He was always
Well, yeah, factor in the rush yards as well.
Yeah.
The passing wasn't that great, but factor in the Cardinals were undefeated, and at one point in time, until they lost to Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. So I would take Kyler Murray in a heartbeat over
Oh, I don't
Ben
think- yeah,
Roethlisberger.
I don't think
right
any-
now, not vintage Ben, vintage
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, if that's even a thing. But I would take prime Ben over a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL.
I don't
today.
think there's a general manager in the world that would say, based on what they saw last year, forget the stats, nobody would pick Ben over Kyler Murray.
And that dovetails into the other controversy this week, which was Big Ben granted an interview with reporter Ron Cook, Steelers beat reporter, and he answered these questions honestly. And then, of
Right.
course, all the bloggers and article recasters and tweeters that don't have an original thought but just regurgitate their opinion on what was already written about something had said that this is why Ben needed to go. He's the same boorish Ben that he always was. So they one of the things that rubbed people the wrong way was that Ben said that he's disappointed in the me first generation of players that are out there, that they need to be more team oriented. So people said that that's crap, that Ben shouldn't be talking about that because Ben was a me first player when he first played, and that's just typical Ben of always having a negative spin or throwing somebody under the bus. And I disagree. I think he's 100% right.
Yep, absolutely. And
I mean, he grew up. I think he's trying to say is, I'm the one to speak on this.
Yes.
Because of how messed up I was. So there's a lot of me first players, and you need to grow up just like I did, and the team will be better for it.
But he grew up with the James Ferriers and the Jerome Bettises and all of those guys. James
But he was
Harrison.
also speaking more in generalities, that the players 5 to 10 years ago cared more about winning
Right.
as a team.
Well, we
than-
talked to Ike Taylor.
I mean, Ben always wanted to win. No one ever said Ben didn't care about winning. Ben was just reckless and stupid and had a higher opinion of himself than he should have at the time. But some of these players now, it seems like they really, like you said about shaking hands, changing jerseys, going out for dinner after games, could really care minimally about their team winning as long as they got 8 catches.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case, a generation of players ago or 5-10 years ago. They cared, we got the win. I wish I would have had more catches, but we won, and that's all that matters. And that's totally shifted now because everything goes through stats. The Madden ratings don't care if the Steelers went undefeated. If you
Right.
only had 52 catches, you're getting a whatever, So that's the street cred that they all crave. And that also, the superstar, even on a bad team, gets the endorsements.
Exactly. The analytics makes me crazy. But we're going to take a break. I want to talk a little bit more about Ben after we're back. It's Black and Gold Breakdown with Brown and Kryder on ESPN Radio 1037 and 1450.
Now, back to Black and Gold Breakdown on ESPN Radio 1037.
Yes, indeed, we are back. We'd love to hear from you. 814-272-9625. 814-272-9625. It's all brought to you by Blaze Alexander, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. The factory said, hey, make this the summer event. They went for it, and now they've got all kinds of things going on. Truckloads and truckloads of new cars arriving daily, so reserve yours today with possible 0% financing, the highest trade values, and a large selection of new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram trucks. Do not miss this one because of Blaze Alexander. They're taking the deals. The other guys won't.
So what did you want to say about Ben? Because he has 2 more points that were picked apart by the pundits.
Well, go ahead, and it'll.
The second one he talked about was how he thoroughly believes that his touchdown pass in the Super Bowl to Santonio Holmes is woefully underappreciated. I have to agree 100,000%. Like I always say, ask yourself this. He completed like 7 out of 8 passes in that last drive to give them the victory, and the one drop was the one that went in the other corner of the end zone right through Santonio Holmes' hands.
Right.
If Tom Brady would have completed a drive like that, would they have given the MVP to the person who caught that pass, or would they have given it to Tom?
Plus, you watch that pass. That pass was perfect. There was only one place that pass could go.
That's probably the greatest pass in Super Bowl history because of the what was riding on that pass, and there was 3 defenders there. The fact that they gave the MVP to Santonio Holmes was just due to that natural bias of the national media hating on Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
So I agree with him. People say, "Oh, he's still crying about that." I would be too.
Yeah, I'd be angry till I died. It's nice to win, but it would be nice for people to talk about that drive, and especially that pass. Oh, my goodness. That pass
The fact that he even had the confidence to go to Santonio Holmes again after the previous play went right through the hands and the other side of the end zone.
Mm-hmm. I have no problem with him saying that. In fact, I'm glad he said it.
Yeah. And lastly, he was talking about how last year was kind of weird for him, and he said he knew that Mike Tomlin wanted him back in some capacity. He knew that the Rooneys wanted him back and to finish out the swan song, but he really felt that Kevin Colbert and them didn't want him back. So he didn't feel a lot of love there last year. And
well, you know what? He caused Kevin Colbert, and I'm not saying he deliberately did, but he caused them a lot of problems on that part of the organization because of all the money he was making and the cap hit.
But he did take a concession last year to play.
Well, he did, but
why is it when Tom Brady gives up money to play, he's like he's walking on water for the better of the team? But when Ben did it, it was like, well, he should. He's in the last year of his career. He's already made $150 million. Like they try to find every reason to justify it's no big deal. But when Brady and all them do it, it's like the most unselfish thing they could ever do.
No, and you make great points. But what I'm saying is everybody. And I'm willing to bet Ben Roethlisberger, in his hearts of hearts, knew that he shouldn't have played last year.
Why? We just talked about the same stats as Kyler Murray. One nets you $230 million.
But he wasn't the guy to do the job in that offense, and he hurt the offense.
Could a different offensive coordinator utilize Ben's talents more? That's the other side of the coin, exactly.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, but
fitting a square peg in a round hole.
I'm saying in that situation, Ben was not the guy. And Ben decided to come back, and what are the Steelers going to do? Cut Ben Roethlisberger? No, they're not going to. So I don't doubt that Kevin Colbert just went,
I don't think you blame 37 total points in the first quarter all season on Ben Roethlisberger.
I'm not
That's the scripting of the first 10 plays. That's all that other stuff that cannot just be pinned squarely on Ben's shoulders.
I completely agree with you. But what I'm saying is, and Zach said it first, square peg, round hole. Now, you want to blame it on the coach? Yeah, I blame it on the coach. I think Canada's a moron, and he's an egotistical, unchanging moron, if you want to add to that. But Ben was the wrong quarterback for that team last year. He was totally wrong.
The reason he was back is because there was no better option.
Yeah, but just being there, to an extent, tied Colbert's hands. Now, I will say Colbert tied his own hands, but nevertheless, his hands were tied. So I can see where he was in a situation where, gosh, I wish Ben would just kind of go away. And he couldn't, and he certainly couldn't. They couldn't cut him. So they were just stuck last year. And I can understand Colbert thinking that way.
And then lastly, Ben said he thought he played fairly well last year. Mm-hmm. So do you think that that's just Ben looking at it from his own personal viewpoint, not really wanting to admit his flaws? Or do you think he could be right? If you look at the stats, if you say 7 fourth quarter comeback victories.
If I send you into a gunfight and I only give you knives and you don't come out on top, but you put up a hell of a fight, Are you a bad fighter? No, you're outgunned. You're outmanned. Same thing with Ben. He didn't have a chance in that offense with the players.
So do you think his narrative for last year he should say I played poorly last year? Like, do you think that's a more honest? Like, what description would Ben, if you're Ben and they say how do you think you played last year? What's the most honest way you would answer? How do you answer that?
My answer would have been I played as well as I could in the scheme with what I was given.
And there, you know where they're going to go with that. They're going to say, "Oh, he's blaming the offensive coordinator."
Well, yeah, right. Why not? And he's blaming
Zach,
Kevin Colbert.
If you're Ben and they ask you assess your play for 2021,
what I would say if I was Ben,
and you were being honest, not how you would couch it, but what.
I mean, Ben is being honest, and I hate when people overreact to all of this because he's just answering the questions. He's crying about this. Yeah, ask him. That's his honest opinion. Why are you anyway? I would tell him how the way he feels. He loved Bruce Arians. He loved Ken Wisenhunt. He wasn't a big fan of Todd Haley. And I got to imagine that he didn't like Matt Canada all that much. And I feel like Matt Canada boxed the offense in as it was.
I mean, and Ben couldn't say, I had to run in fear of my life and throw the ball as soon as I got it, touched my fingertips because I had the worst line in history. I would have said, listen, I'm a gamer. I gave everything I had. I wish I could have led us to a playoff victory, but I'm proud of what I accomplished in my last season as a quarterback.
Right. All right, we got to take a break because we got to talk Captain with Kryder coming up in just a moment. It's Black and Gold Breakdown with Brown and Kryder on ESPN Radio 103.7 and 1450.
Now back to Black and Gold Breakdown on ESPN Radio 103.7.
We are back, and it's all brought to you by Blaze Alexander Family Dealerships. We're certainly glad that they always come along. Blaze Alexander Family Dealerships celebrating 40 years of service to the community. Home of the $1,000 lowest price guarantee. Blaze Alexander Family Dealerships has a vehicle to fit your budget and transportation needs with 19 locations throughout Pennsylvania. Time for Captain with Kryder, and it's all brought to you by Lion Country Kia. So don't just buy any pre-owned vehicle. You deserve a Kia certified pre-owned vehicle from Lion Country Kia. Check them out at 1334 Dravelwood Street behind Sam's Club in State College. Hit it.
I say to you, what rhymes with winner? That'd be Kryder. Last week in the Midsummer Classic, I said, now I had to go out on a limb here because I said take the American League getting 1.5 runs, but since they were the favorites, you would have had to pay double your money to make that wager. But luckily, that was the wager I said because they ended up winning outright, so you win. But if you would have taken the straight wager of the American League minus the 1.5 runs, you would have lost, which our friend Matt Bortner did. I didn't feel comfortable in that. I said, give me the runs, and I'll pay double the money. So you would have won if you rode along with me.
How about that? What about this week?
This week, I say tonight, I just have this sneaky feeling that the Fightin' Phils are going to hang within the 1.5 runs tonight against the Atlanta Braves in Philly. The Braves are obviously heavy favorites, but I say take the Phils in the 1.5 runs, and you'll be a winner.
They certainly need that win against the Braves. Of course, if you missed it, the Pirates lost to the Cubs today.
Are they going to get the -- 1 draft pick?
It could be.
That's all the way for next year because they just had this year's MLB draft.
No, I'm saying for the 2023. Are they in line with that?
They can sink their way in. Yeah,
they could. There are the Cubs.
Yeah.
There are the who's below them? The Reds.
Yeah.
I think the Reds are most in line for Athletics. I probably say the Athletics, the Reds, and then the Pirates, Cubs. They can kind of decide.
We haven't factored in the fire sale in Pittsburgh coming up for the trade deadline.
I'll let you know my Baltimore Orioles are sitting at a hefty 48-48 right now.
They're doing well.
They're playing competitive baseball, so it's fun to be able to watch them and at least not feel every night you have a 9 out of 10 chance to get whooped.
You know what? I feel that with the Pirates.
I wonder what that's like.
But for that beautiful 2 weeks or 3 weeks when they had all the rookies up and they were playing, even when they lost, they were fun to watch. They were exciting. It was really cool. You had a glimpse of the future, and you think, hey, maybe in 2026 or 25 or something like that, they may have a chance. And now that they brought all these veterans back, it's just
all right. Enough baseball. We're going to be in Latrobe on Thursday taking great pictures for the website, and we'll talk about it next week on the show.
Absolutely. Black and Gold Breakdown, Brown and Kryder on ESPN Radio 103.7 and 1450.
We could talk about the Steelers all night on Black and Gold Breakdown, but we've got to cover some other sports as well. Thanks for listening, and remember, you can catch the guys every Tuesday night at 5 p.m. on ESPN Radio 1037.